Why God lets evil people win. The deeper reason, stage one. When the world feels upside down, there is a moment that comes in every life, usually without warning. You are driving home from work, and a song comes on the radio that takes you back. Or you are standing in the grocery line, and you see a magazine cover with a face you know too well, a face attached to a person who broke something in you. Or maybe it is simpler than that. Maybe you are just sitting at the kitchen table with a cold cup of coffee, staring out the window, and the thought drifts in like fog. It is not fair. None of this is fair. You think about that person, the one who lied to get the promotion, the one who spread rumors to make themselves look better, the one who walked away from a commitment without looking back, leaving you to pick up the pieces. And now, here they are, thriving, laughing, moving on like nothing happened. Their life looks polished and bright, like a store window at Christmas. And you feel like you are still standing outside in the cold, pressing your face against the glass, wondering why no one lets you in. It makes you question everything. It makes you wonder if God is paying attention. It makes you wonder if being good is just a game for people who are too afraid to go after what they want. You start to feel like the world is running on a broken system, where cheaters get the prize and the honest people get the participation trophy. This feeling is older than you. It is as old as humanity itself. The prophet Jeremiah lived through it. He looked around at his own world and saw wicked people living comfortable lives, and he did not hold back his confusion. He said to God, "You are always righteous, Lord, when I bring a case before you. Yet I would speak with you about your justice. Why does the way of the wicked prosper? Why do all the faithless live at ease?" Jeremiah 12:1. Jeremiah was not afraid to bring his honest confusion to God. He did not pretend everything was fine. He did not sing louder to drown out the doubt. He brought the question right to the throne. And that is where we have to start. Not with a tidy answer, but with an honest question. Because God is not scared of your questions. He is not threatened by your doubt. He would rather have you come to him angry and confused than have you turn away in silent disappointment. The world feels upside down because, in many ways, it is. We live in a fallen place where the original order has been disturbed. Sin messed up the machinery. So sometimes the wicked do prosper. Sometimes the innocent do suffer. That is the reality we live in. But here is what we forget. We are only seeing one chapter. We walk into the movie halfway through, watch the villain winning for 10 minutes, and assume the story is over. But the story is never over until the credits roll, and God is the only one who decides when that happens. So tonight, if you are sitting with that knot in your stomach, let it be okay. Let yourself feel the weight of the unfairness, but do not stop there. Bring that weight to the only one who can carry it. Tell him exactly what you think. Tell him it hurts. Tell him it confuses you. And then take a breath and get ready to see things from a different angle, because the story is not over, not even close. Stage 2. The test of the temporary. Let us walk a little further down this road. We have admitted that the world feels unfair. We have admitted that watching bad people win makes our hearts ache. Now we need to look at something uncomfortable. We need to look at why their winning bothers us so much. There is a story in the Old Testament about a man named David. Before he was king, before he defeated Goliath, he spent years running for his life. The current king, a man named Saul, was jealous of David. Saul had started well, but power corrupted him. He became paranoid, angry, and cruel, and he decided that David had to die. So David ran. He hid in caves. He pretended to be crazy to save his life. He lived in enemy territory. And all the while, Saul sat on the throne. Saul had the army. Saul had the wealth. Saul had the palace. From the outside, it looked like evil was winning. Saul was the king. David was the fugitive. Now here is the part of the story that matters most. Twice, David had the chance to kill Saul. Twice, he found Saul completely defenseless. His men urged him to do it. They said, "This is God delivering your enemy into your hands." It would have been so easy. One quick move and the problem would be gone. David could have taken the throne by force and justified it as self-defense, but David did not do it. He cut off a corner of Saul's robe once, and even that made his heart bother him. He said to his men, "The Lord forbid that I should do such a thing to my master, the Lord's anointed." 1 Samuel 24:6. Do you see what happened there? David understood something that we often miss. He understood that God allows evil to remain for a season to test the hearts of the righteous. Saul was David's test. Would David trust God's timing, or would he take matters into his own hands? Would David wait for God to remove the king, or would he become a murderer to get what he wanted? This is the deeper reason why God lets evil people win, at least for a time. He uses them to reveal what is really in us. When you see the person who wronged you succeeding, what rises up in your heart? Is it a quiet, trusting peace that says, "God, you see this, and I trust you to handle it"? Or is it a bitter, gnawing envy that makes you want to see them fall? The prosperity of the wicked is a mirror held up to your soul. It shows you where your treasure really is. If your treasure is in your reputation, their slander will crush you. If your treasure is in your comfort, their luxury will envy you. If your treasure is in your plans, their success will frustrate you. But if your treasure is in God, none of it can touch you. You can watch them build their kingdoms on sand, and you can smile because your house is built on the rock. The Apostle Paul talked about this. He said, "We fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal." 2 Corinthians 4:18. The success of the wicked is seen. It is visible. It is loud. It demands attention, but it is temporary. It is here today and gone tomorrow. The work God is doing in you, the patience He is building, the faith He is strengthening, the character He is forming, that is unseen, and it is eternal. So let their success be your teacher. Let it teach you to look past the visible. Let it teach you to hold loosely to the things of this world. Let it teach you that your reward is not here. Your reward is waiting for you in a place where no one cheats, no one lies, and no one gets away with anything. As the old saying goes, the bows of the mighty are broken, but the feeble bind on strength. The powerful today may be powerless tomorrow. The weak today who trust in God will find strength they never knew they had. Stage 3. The mercy they do not deserve. We have looked at the wicked. We have looked in the mirror. Now we need to look at the heart of God. This is the hardest part of the journey because it requires us to see our enemies the way God sees them. And God sees them with eyes full of mercy. This does not mean God approves of what they do. It does not mean He is fine with their cheating and lying and hurting. It means He is giving them time. Time to wake up. Time to change. Time to come home. Think about your own life for a moment. Before you knew God, before you started trying to follow Him, were you perfect? Were you kind and honest and good all the time? Probably not. Most of us have a past we are not proud of. Most of us have things we did that hurt other people. And yet, God was patient with us. He did not strike us down. He let us live. He let us breathe. He put people in our path who loved us and showed us a better way. He gave us chance after chance to turn around. That is exactly what He is doing for the person who is hurting you now. The Apostle Paul wrote about this in his letter to the Romans. He said, "Do you show contempt for the riches of His kindness, forbearance and patience, not realizing that God's kindness is intended to lead you to repentance. Romans 2:4. God's kindness has a purpose. It is not a license to keep sinning. It is an invitation to stop. When you see the wicked prospering, you are seeing the kindness of God in action. He is giving them space to breathe so they might have space to think. He is blessing them not because they deserve it, but because he hopes that his goodness will melt their hard hearts. He is fighting for their souls the same way he fought for yours. This does not make the pain of what they did to you disappear, but it does change the way you pray for them. Instead of praying for fire to fall on their heads, you might start praying for scales to fall from their eyes. Instead of asking God to destroy them, you might ask God to save them. Jesus took this even further. He said, "Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous." Matthew 5:44-45. God gives good things to everyone. The sun, the rain, the breath in their lungs, these are gifts. And every gift is a chance for them to look up and say, maybe there is a God who cares about me. There is a story Jesus told that fits here perfectly. It is the story of the prodigal son. A young man took his inheritance early, which was basically telling his father he wished he was dead. He went off to a far country and wasted everything on wild living. He hit rock bottom. He ended up feeding pigs, which for a Jewish boy was the lowest you could go. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and ran to him. The father did not wait for him to clean up. He did not make him pay back the money first. He ran and hugged him and threw a party. That is the heart of God. He runs toward sinners. He waits for them. He hopes for them. The person who hurt you might be that prodigal. They might be wasting their life, wasting their blessings, hurting people along the way. But God is watching the road. He is waiting for them to come to their senses, and if they do, he will run to them. And when he does, you will understand why he let them win for a while, because their winning was actually God giving them time to come home. There is an old saying that goes, "The patience of God is the salvation of sinners." Let that sink in. If God were not patient, none of us would be here. If he settled accounts immediately, the human race would have ended long ago. So when you struggle with his patience toward the wicked, remember his patience toward you, and let that patience teach you to be patient too. Stage 4. The weight that is not yours to carry. We have talked about mercy. Now we need to talk about release. Because holding onto the injustice, replaying the wrongs, waiting for the moment when the wicked get what they deserve, this is a heavy burden, and it is a burden you were never meant to carry. There is a verse in the book of Deuteronomy that says, "It is mine to avenge. I will repay." Deuteronomy 32:35. God says this clearly. Vengeance belongs to him. It is his job. It is his right. And when we try to take it for ourselves, we are stepping into territory that is not ours. Think about what happens when you carry the weight of wanting revenge. You rehearse the conversation over and over. You imagine them getting caught, getting exposed, getting humiliated. You check their social media to see if they are suffering yet. You ask mutual friends if they have heard anything bad about them. You spend your mental energy on someone who probably is not thinking about you at all. Who is that hurting? Not them. They are living their life, unaware of the courtroom you have built in your head. The only person serving time in that prison is you. The writer of Hebrews quotes that same verse from Deuteronomy and adds something important. He says, "It is a dreadful thing to fall into the hands of the living God." Hebrews 10:31. If justice is what you want, justice is what you will get. But do you really want to be the one to deliver it? Do you really want to stand in the place of God and decide who gets punished and how? Letting go of revenge does not mean you are saying what they did was okay. It means you are giving the situation to someone who is qualified to handle it. It is like handing a complicated case to a judge. You do not have to figure out the verdict. You do not have to gather the evidence. You just hand over the file and walk out of the courtroom. The judge will take it from there. Paul understood this. He wrote, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." Romans 12:21. When you try to fight evil with evil, when you repay insult with insult, when you wait for them to fall so you can feel satisfied, you are letting evil win twice. It wins once when they hurt you. It wins again when it turns you into someone bitter and obsessed. But when you overcome evil with good, you break the cycle. You starve the fire. You refuse to let their sin dictate your response. You become free. There is a story in the book of Genesis that shows this beautifully. It is the story of Joseph. His brothers hated him. They were jealous of him. They plotted to kill him, then changed their minds and sold him into slavery instead. He ended up in Egypt, falsely accused, thrown into prison, forgotten by everyone. For years it looked like evil had won. His brothers were back home, living their lives, while Joseph rotted in a dungeon. But God was with Joseph. God was working in the silence. And years later, Joseph was elevated to the second most powerful position in Egypt. When a famine struck, his brothers came to him for food. They did not recognize him, but he recognized them. He had them right where he wanted them. He could have thrown them in prison. He could have had them executed. He had the power to make them pay. But he did not. Instead, he wept. And he said to them, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Genesis 50:20. Joseph understood the deeper reason. He saw that God had been at work the whole time, even through the evil. God was not the author of the evil, but he was the master of it. He wove it into a tapestry of redemption. And Joseph was so full of that perspective that he had no room left for bitterness. This is what release looks like. It looks like trusting that God is big enough to write straight with crooked lines. It looks like believing that nothing is wasted, not even the pain. And it looks like opening your hands and letting go of the weight that was never yours to carry. As the proverb says, "A man's wisdom gives him patience. It is to his glory to overlook an offense, not because the offense was small, but because the God you serve is great." Stage 5. The final chapter that changes everything. We have traveled a long road together. We have sat with the confusion. We have looked in the mirror. We have considered God's mercy. We have talked about releasing the burden. Now we need to look at the end, because the only way to make sense of a story is to know how it ends. The Bible tells us that there is a day coming when everything will be exposed. Every secret will be brought into the light. Every hidden thing will be made known. Jesus said, "There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known." Luke 12:2. That is not a threat. That is a promise. For the person who has been wronged, it is a promise of vindication. For the person who has done the wrong, it is a warning to repent. But for both, it is the assurance that the universe is not random. There is a moral arc to history, and that arc bends toward justice. Think about the cross for a moment. On the surface, it looked like the ultimate victory of evil. The religious leaders got what they wanted. The Roman soldiers carried out their brutal task. The crowds got their spectacle. They nailed the Son of God to a tree, and they thought that was the end of the story. They thought they had won. But 3 days later, the tomb was empty. Death could not hold him. The evil that men did became the very means of salvation for the world. The worst act in human history became the greatest victory, and that is the pattern of God. He takes the worst the enemy can throw at him and turns it into something glorious. The resurrection is God's promise that the last word has not been spoken yet. The wicked may speak loudly now. They may write the headlines. They may control the narrative, but they do not write the final chapter. God does. Paul writes about this final chapter in his letter to the Philippians. He says that one day every knee will bow in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue will acknowledge that Jesus Christ is Lord. Philippians 2:10-11. Every knee. That includes the knees of the people who hurt you. That includes the knees of the corrupt bosses and the lying friends and the cheating competitors. One day they will bow. And on that day, all the injustice of this world will be swallowed up by the glory of God. This is not about gloating. It is not about waiting for the day when you can say, "I told you so." It is about resting in the certainty that God sees, God knows, and God will act. It is about living with such confidence in the future that you can afford to be generous in the present. John, the disciple Jesus loved, was given a vision of this final chapter. He saw a new heaven and a new earth. He heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away." Revelation 21:3-4. Notice what is missing. No more crying, no more pain, no more mourning. That means all the tears you have shed over injustice will be wiped away. All the nights you lay awake wondering why they won will be forgotten. The old order, the order where the wicked prosper and the righteous suffer, will be gone, and in its place will be a kingdom where righteousness dwells. This is the hope that sustains us. This is the anchor for our souls. When the waves of unfairness crash over us, we hold onto this anchor. We remind ourselves that this world is not all there is. The score will be settled. The books will be balanced. And those who trusted in God, who waited for him, who refused to take shortcuts, who loved their enemies and prayed for those who persecuted them, they will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. So, what do we do now? We live in the light of that coming day. We love boldly because we know we are loved eternally. We forgive freely because we have been forgiven completely. We wait patiently because we know the judge is standing at the door. And we hold our heads high, not because we are perfect, but because the one who is perfect is coming back for us. Let the wicked win their temporary victories. Let them have their 15 minutes. Let them build their sandcastles. The tide is coming in. And when it does, those who built on the rock will still be standing. They will be standing not because they were stronger or smarter or luckier, but because they were loved by a God who keeps every promise and rights every wrong. The night may be long, but joy comes in the morning. Hold on. Help is on the way. The King is coming. And when he arrives, he will make all things new.